Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Full-Time Banter Show. My name is Tariq.
I'm Liam.
And make sure you like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get all the latest videos when they come out, and follow us on Twitter at FullTimeBanter7. No Riz again, unfortunately.
No.
But some interesting news regarding Riz and his team. But without further ado, we didn't have the top 10 last week.
No, we
were
didn't.
Kind of in between game weeks. So here it is in preparation for game week 22. The top 10 as delivered by Liam.
Thank you. Hope my contact lenses match up to this now. Okay, but because at number 10 we've got Tabdili and Mohamed Wasim with 1,265 points in 1 point ahead. Meluran Plus and Adam Omar in 9. Joe Gallagher, Triple X, 62 points this game week on 1,293. Ali Aubameyang, Sugusiso Kawapi in 7th place on 1,299. Breaking the 1,300 point barrier, Gulshan Jane, you talking to me, with 1,301. On the same points total as the Mighty Reds Wannabes with Andrew Mercer in 5th. Just 2 points ahead, Bill City FC, Billy Mottram on 1,303. Bit of a jump then to 3rd place with the old Garpatron, Gary Watson, and 1,324. Bit similar to my pin number, that, mate. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's pretty damn obvious. Number 2 is Vengarin Ben Sita with a whopping 73 game week points on 1,326, closing the gap a little bit to the man that's still sick at the top, Gunningsan Santosh Kanake with 1,365.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And yeah, it's been interesting in the top 10 over the Christmas period. Obviously, we've not been able to follow it, but Santosh Kanake's lead is
gradually being chipped away.
Yeah, he's not had a great festive period. Yeah, he's had some low scores, and again 48 quite low. Andrew Mercer with only 39, which is quite close to the lowest points. And myself and Riz we are just outside the top 10, just by 2 or 3 points. So that bottom of the table there is quite condensed. I think we could, or at least I could, make it back in there.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll move on to Riz in a second. And yes, regarding the table, I forgot to mention last week, what I've done is a bit of a clean-up. Yeah, a bit of a clean-up. All the dead teams at the bottom of the table, and in fact there were a couple in the 80s, amazingly.
Really?
Dead teams where people are no longer paying attention, not making any transfers. So any teams that hadn't made a transfer for 5 weeks plus, I got rid of. So if you've noticed in the table, it's down to about 95, 96 players now.
Like that, yeah.
But everyone is active now, so it's giving you a bit more of a fairer reflection and hopefully making you work a little harder as well. Moving on to then the lowest points this week, and that was unfortunately on the Mendy. That's Megan Greenwood's team.
I know Megan very well. I used to work with Gemma, her wife, St Mary's.
Right, Gemma Greenwood.
Yes.
Right, they're both in the league. Well, hello, thank you for joining the league. Yeah, I always keep an eye on them, because they're doing quite well actually. So Megan Greenwood, 49th, very respectable, relatively, as we'll find out in a bit. On 1,131 points overall, but she only scored 27 this week, so
just an off week, I think. Being that, because the last few weeks we've seen it's all the ones in the 80s and 90s that are getting it, so that's quite high up for the lowest. But yeah,
she went quite balls out of the bath to borrow a phrase there from my fellow here. He went Jimenez, captain, or Jimenez as he's coming to be known. Which was very brave, and the funny thing was, she's obviously banked on Wolves here, because the previous week I checked her transfer history in her lineup. She had Bolly third on the bench with 10 points. So this week she obviously brought him in, and he's done nothing, unfortunately.
Bastard.
0 points. And Robertson got the 5 points this week. So unlucky, Megan. Very unlucky. Hopefully you'll get back to winning ways again, because you are doing very, very well. Moving on then to the highest points of the week. I'll let you do this one, Liam.
Yeah.
And I'll always save the good names for you.
Cheers, mate. So 92 points this week is
Do you see that?
Amoa King. Not really. It's like an eye test, this. Jesus. Amoa King.
Malfunction this week.
Amoa Isaac, who got 92 points, and the first thing I noticed, mate, is that he's got Pereira from Leicester, is that?
Yes.
Second on the bench with 12 points, which... That's not a bad bench to be having. Got a right itchy nipple. Sorry, I had to scratch it for about 5 minutes. Geez.
Is it cold?
Yeah. I'm smuggling peanuts. Cracking result that the captaincy of Son paid off. Sane, Vardy, Rashford, just points across the board really. The only two really letting down were Richarlison, which is semi-expected, and Pogba. But more on him when I get to my team. But yeah, can't really argue with that, can you?
Unlucky there with Pereira, as we did mention in last week's show. Ricardo Pereira of Leicester is actually up there for shots in the box and things like that. So, I'm looking to bring in hopefully as well at some point.
Yes. So where's he? So he's 30th point, 30th position. Yeah,
in the league.
The league, with 92 points and 1,201 points overall.
12-1, very very good. Moving on to Riz's then now. A bit of a strange thing going on with Riz, because as you'll notice as I put up the team, it's no longer Peaky Blinders.
No.
Because what Riz has done has handed his team over to the handyman, or I think it's a handyman. I don't want to offend you, Keith. Hopefully you're a new viewer. We've gained a follower, hopefully. His workmate Keith, let's put it as that.
Yeah.
Riz's workmate Keith Murphy, affectionately known as Mad Max. Yeah. Riz has given his team to Mad Keith, which, I've got to say, I don't know if you've ever worked with a Keith.
I've got an uncle Keith, and my barber is called Keith.
Okay, well I had formerly
we used to have a milkman as well called Keith.
Really?
I know a lot of Keiths.
Well, I used to work with a couple of Keiths, and they're mad as a box of frogs usually. I don't know if it's something in the name, but every Keith I've known is just a bit mad, so it seems apt that Keith Murphy is known as Mad Max. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes with his team. But prior to handing over, last week Riz did appallingly with just 32 points, because the week prior he'd let his nephew take control of his team, who played as wild card. And this is the team that he put out. He brought in Mitrovic, and pretty poor across the board, apart from David Luiz and Wan-Bissaka. Not great. And Martial was his captain, got him 6 points as well. So pretty poor all round, which means Riz/Crazy Keith down to 14th on 1,244 points, which meant he almost doubled his overall rank. Unfortunately, down 61,000 to 123k. So hopefully that's not a sign of things to come, Keith.
No.
Because Riz has said he's still offering his FPL consultancy services to Keith.
It's like a director of football, isn't he?
Yeah. Bit of a mad Frank Arneson. Yeah. Liam.
Yeah, so 51 points for me this week, which is just under the average. What it did for me was Wan-Bissaka, the Wolves Palace game. Right. I sort of banked on Wolves getting the result there, so I put both my Wolves defenders in and toyed with having one and Wan-Bissaka, but I just thought Wolves would do the business.
Yeah, you would have thought that, wouldn't you? Yeah.
So that kind of bit me in the arse a bit. And half the points coming from Kane. So I don't know if you watched last week's episode, but we did a sort of a run through of our season so far, and a lot of my captaincy picks were doing most of the points getting for my team. So that was the case again there, really. And then, like you said, David Luiz and Robertson chipping in helpfully as well. Pogba finally got him in, and he did a grand total of fuck all. Thanks, Paul, you bastard. I knew it was going to happen. He'd had 3 games on the run of being on fire, and I thought, he's going to do it. He's not going to. He's going to cock up. And he did. So
flash in the pan.
Yeah. But we continue.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
So what did I do? I stayed 58th in the league overall, down 87,000 to 1.5 million, which for the points total I got didn't seem like it should have been that much of a drop.
I think you're in the thick of it there, where I think that possibly is almost a borderline of where there's still active managers, and then past that there might not be. Yeah, because I think it's crazy. It's over 40% dead teams now.
Wow. Really? Bloody hell.
Yeah. So, and that unfortunately is your lowest rank of the season so far, 1.5 million. Overall, So
I mean, I've said it before. When I drop, I tend to drop quite hard.
Yeah.
So I'd be a shit boxer. There'd be no Tyson Fury 12th round Undertaker sit up for me. I don't think.
Right. My team, I did surprisingly well. I wasn't expecting a good game week, but I managed 60 points, which was fantastic, personally I felt, which moved me up 2 places to 12th, ahead of Riz. 1262, as I say, so the top 10 begins at 1265, so I'm very, very close. It meant small green arrows of 7k up to 76.5, which I'm extremely happy with. I have got a list. I made some a list of transfers that I'm looking to do over the coming weeks. But as usual, whenever you plan, something else comes along, spanner in the works. We'll move on, and we'll talk more about that later. Because we're not got a lot of time, we've got a lot of things to get through. We're going to move straight away onto a game week 22 preview. I'm going to start with the captaincy picks, because this week is quite a difficult one. Quite a difficult, I mean, I know you've not had a chance to look at these at the notes, unfortunately. No. But basically, the top picks are, while you have a quick read through there, I'll let everybody know. We've got Salah, obviously. If you've got Salah in your team, he's away to Brighton. Hazard, who is home to Newcastle. Aubameyang is away to West Ham. City, I've just put City because you may have more or none of their assets, are home to Wolves on Monday night. They're actually playing tonight in the Carabao Cup. I left them when I was driving in. They were 1-0 up against Burton. Kevin De Bruyne. Sane started as well, with Mahrez on the other wing. So it'll be interesting to see how they start on Monday. And Kane, who is home to United. Yeah. So have you had a chance to think about that? Any thoughts on the captain picks and who you've got in your team?
Mine's a pretty easy choice. Out of those options, I've only got Kane and Salah. Right. And it'll be Salah all the way for me. Yep. He's still in good form. Like I said, he's this Salah out of form doesn't seem to be affecting him much, so it's easy. And
I'm hoping that is the case, because you're going to be some bewildering stats. I mean, obviously Brighton, we know, are a stubborn team. One of Riz's favourites. Defensively can be quite organised, even though they've only kept 1 clean sheet in 10 or 11 games, something like that. But on Salah is on Twitter. There's been lots of polls. Obviously, every week there's a poll. Salah is the most popular pick with 51% of the votes in. I can't remember. It was a relevant, the most relevant sort of captaincy poll that goes on Twitter. 51% of the votes, which is a good sign, because yes, he's in form. But let's talk about Brighton. Brighton, believe it or not, although they face a lot of shots, they're quite low down in the table for shots faced, they happen to deal with them really, really well. Yeah. Because they're actually joint with Liverpool for big chances conceded. Right. So it's, a bit of a, what's the saying, an immovable object hitting whatever. Irresistible force meets the immovable object. Exactly. So Salah is obviously the irresistible force. Yeah. Hopefully Brighton are not an immovable object. So we'll have to wait and see on that. And I say it's good news, because if the majority of people are going with Salah, and he does blank, it's not the end of the world, hopefully, because everybody's in the same boat. You've got Kane. I mean, shall we quickly talk about Kane then before we move on?
So Kane for me against United. Spurs are at home. Whatever this rented accommodation is that they're doing, it's fucking ridiculous, but never mind. Like we've seen, I know United's opposition hasn't been great. This will be their big test, their first big test. But with Son, this is Son's last game, isn't it?
It is, annoyingly. I'm going to talk about
that. So this is Son's last game, but a lot of it was Spurs, just Spurs, isn't it? Spurs' starting 11 last night in the League Cup semi-final was pretty much full strength, I think.
Yeah, as usual.
So
as per usual.
North Korea, isn't he? He's just working him till the dust. So is tiredness an issue for Spurs? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know.
Would you make them favourites? No, really?
Probably, but it's you're blinded, aren't you? You're blinded by loyalty. I think it'll be in history. They've always been good games. I always like United Spurs as a game. but whether Spurs might have a bit inferiority complex going up against United still, perhaps.
Possibly. They shouldn't have. Hopefully,
Yeah,
Pochettino masterminds, a result out of that. But yeah, Kane, you're being brave if you go with either Kane, Pogba, or any of the other United assets, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Kane's ticking over. Undoubtedly, he will get something. Son, let's quickly talk about Son. I made a big balls up, basically. For some reason, God knows why, I thought Son was due to leave 2 weeks ago. So I got in Mora, who last game week didn't even get to play. So I lost out 9 points. Luckily I didn't take a -4, so I did Son to Mora. Mora didn't play. Son got 9 points or something like that, I think. Yeah, I think he did. Yeah. Possibly more. I can't remember, it was 9 or 12.
Don't slouch yourself, mate, don't slouch yourself.
So, yeah, but apparently Son leaves after this United game this week, so I hope he blanks this week. Yeah, I really do. Quickly moving on, Hazard, statistically is the best option. When I say statistically, the source that I rely on, the FPL Connect, their captain metric, who look at all team form, home form, things like that, player form, all the rest of it, opposition. According to their metric, Hazard is the best choice captain, who is home to Newcastle. But going back to the Salah being the most popular option, I don't think people have lost faith in Hazard.
I got him out for Pogba last week.
Because he's just fits and starts. I think if you've got Hazard or you're going to get him or whatever, it's a case of just having him for the whole season and putting up with his hits and misses.
I think it depends on the team that Sarri picks and the format where Hazard plays, the formation he picks.
True.
To be honest, Spurs, I know we had a bit of a laugh in summer about the World Cup. My pick for player of the tournament was Olivier Giroud. Go back to episode 4 or 5, I think it is.
Yes.
But when Giroud plays, I like players like that are very selfless. I think Heskey was.
Well, we did joke that he's basically a bouncing board, isn't he?
But that made Chelsea click so much better and freed up Hazard away from having to drift around the front. So if I was Sarri, and not that I would be thinking about Giroud there. If that becomes a regular thing, Hazard all the way.
Well, it's been Morata lately, and whenever Morata plays, Hazard's stats fall off the edge of a cliff, and that's what's been happening against Saints. And notoriously, Hazard is unreliable against teams outside of the top 6.
Like he raises it for the.
Well, why you'd think he'd be a banker? You'd think this is easy money here. But he's the opposite to Salah. Salah doesn't do well against the top 6, but he's assured against the rest, thankfully, this season. Moving on to Aubameyang then. Personally, I would say this is possibly the banker. This is the best choice. I don't have Aubameyang.
No.
He's away to West Ham, who still have an injury to Balbuena, who's been a very good defender for them. They've still got Diop, but they're just not the same as we can tell by Fabianski's form. He's just conceding loads of goals. He is due a haul. I mean, if you've been watching Aubameyang, his expected goals are through the roof. There's something like 5.8 compared to Kane's, who was 1.8. Something ridiculous like that. So he's not been matching his expected goals output, but he's been having the chances. Past 3 games, he should have had more than what he's got. We should have had a hat-trick in a couple of games. So if you've got Aubameyang, I think that is quite a safe bet, and he might even get his hat-trick in this game against West Ham. Yeah, so... but not many people will have Aubameyang. If they have, it's because they think he's cheaper than Kane. But again, he's been fits and starts. Every time I had him for a few game weeks, and when I did captain him, he got me 4 points.
Yeah, he shat on both of us, didn't he?
Yeah, so he's not in my team. I'm sticking with Kane with a bit of consistency. Moving on to City. Thoughts on City against Wolves?
Depends how much of a bounce Wolves are on, I think. Yeah. In theory, you would expect City to walk over them, but
notoriously stubborn. And in fact, didn't Wolves get the result against City last time?
They might. I don't know. They've seen so much football, it blurs into one.
They have. They've taken a lot of points off the top 6.
Yeah.
So I can't remember the exact results, but they did previously at City. Well, it would have been at the Molineux, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a risk, and also the City lineup's a risk. I mean, as I've said tonight in the Carabao, Sterling is benched, so you can almost guarantee that Sterling's going to start. Having said that, there's quite a few days because they play on the Monday night, so they have got the rest in recovery time. So even though Sane starts tonight, I would hope that Sane plays on Monday because I've just brought him in.
Right.
Yeah. So, and Aguero, we don't know yet. We're going to see what his minutes are like, whether he's rotated with Jesus, whether he's still got that niggling injury. So Aguero, I wouldn't bank on him. KDB is back tonight and looking good.
He is, yeah. Getting his minutes under his belt. So from an FPL perspective, that's very good because he's 9.7, I think, isn't he? So he will most likely be coming into my team somewhere.
Right.
Not for the time being.
Right.
But yeah, just from a Wolves perspective on that one, like you said, stubborn, but I think I'll have to go 3 at the back and play Wan-Bissaka. I daren't risk.
Yeah.
I daren't risk a turnover.
Because, well, to be fair to them, I think I'm right in saying this, they haven't conceded more than 2 in a game all season. They may have on the odd one occasion, but I think that's their record. They've not conceded massively. They're not the whipping boys of the league. On that then, we're going to move on. Hopefully that's been informative for you and help you make a choice.
Who are you going for then, T?
Personally, I'm going with Salah.
Yep.
And as I said, the safe option in terms of low risk, that if it does go wrong, the majority of people will have gone with Salah.
Yeah.
Yeah. City assets. Are we looking to get them back in?
The only one for me, like I just mentioned then, which leads in quite nicely, is KDB.
Yeah.
The one that'd be most likely to make way would either be Pogba or Richarlison, just for the money that I've got in the bank and they're closest to. Richarlison probably, but then I would have nothing else left. But in terms of your Sterlings and Agueros and Sanes, not looking at any of them personally.
Right.
They might be back to
for
the
what
best.
reason?
I just don't. There's nobody that's really wowing me at the minute. Which my mate once said about Lenin during a history lesson. He said, "Tell me something about Lenin," and he went, "There's nothing really wow about him." Fair enough.
Case.
Yeah, it was a good way to stop an A-level lesson, I'll tell you that. But yeah, there's nothing from City that's doing anything. I think having a look at the next 3 is Wolves, Newcastle and Huddersfield. So City's defence might be good to be getting on that. But they've shown they're not keeping clean sheets. They might have been winning, but it's always 3-1, 2-1.
Yeah.
So in theory,
and that was even with Fernandinho.
Yeah. So I would be more tempted by the defence, but based on this season's form, I don't think it'd be worth bringing him in. From an attacking perspective, I'm not really that bothered, but defensively, it's the same really. Yeah, I'm not really digging it.
Well, I mean, since you've said that, and one of the reasons I put this back in is because I've actually got Sane in. And it's not because of any sort of particular positives for City, because, again, like you say, they're not looking as reliable at the moment. But because of my stupidity with going from Son to Lucas Moura, who not only didn't play that week that I brought him in, he actually then got injured, not playing. Yeah, so he wasn't involved with the Cup squad yesterday, and I don't expect he's going to be playing against United. So I was just being annoyed with him all week. So last night I took
Poor Lucas, he's sat there trying to recuperate. You're stabbing a voodoo, don't you?
Oh, I know. Him and Son. But yeah, I basically took another -4. I'm getting addicted to these hits.
You are. This happens to you, doesn't it?
I know, it does.
His arse is going like that. It's like a rabbit's nose. It's twitching.
I've got to try and curb it, but I've taken another -4 to try and rectify the problem. I've got lots of things I want to do. Like I said, I had a plan. The plan got shifted to the side. I basically took out Alonso to Luis to get I think it was close to $1 million, or it was 0.9, and I had a little bit in the bank. And I upgraded Moura to Sane for the time being, because, interestingly, worth mentioning here, City are due to have a blank game week in game week 27. It's not confirmed, so keep your eyes and ears open for that. Follow us on Twitter, I'll always put up news on there as soon as it's confirmed. But it looks more than likely that City and Spurs, if they go through the second leg against Chelsea, will have no game. That's what the blank game week means. They'll have no game in game week 27. So with that in mind, I've brought Sane in for these 3 or 4 game weeks, see how he does. KDB is very much on my radar, so at that similar price, I could go to KDB or also Eriksen. I'm going to see how Spurs do, because Spurs have got 3 home games next in a row against good fixtures, good teams as well. So Eriksen and KDB to keep an eye on. But Sane, see how he does. So yeah, blank game weeks, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, keep an eye on blank game weeks with this strategy possibly. I mean, I'm going to try and stick to it, but the strategy would be to not make any transfers in game week 25, so that in game week 26 you would have 2 free transfers to help manoeuvre your team a little bit if you've got Spurs and City players in your team at the moment, so you can shift them out for game week 27 when they don't play. The good news obviously will be that later in the season, when we do have the double game weeks, those players will have 2 games in 1 game week, so you can get them back in for that. Moving on quickly then, so we're not having City assets back. How about a Liverpool double or triple up?
I am tripled up with Liverpool.
You are already?
Yeah. It's the Salah, Robertson, Alisson axis for me.
Right.
Which I think I made a bit of a similar point last week. Salah and Alisson, unless they get injured, they will not be leaving my team for the rest of the season at all. Robertson is the only one that's a bit on the edge, and that's because Van Dijk's a little bit cheaper, but sort of matching him points wise, and Robertson's form does seem to have dipped. So for me, I'm tripled up. I can't really see, if I do get rid of Robertson, there's nobody else apart from Pereira, but he would most likely come in for a Wolves defender. So I can't see myself going down to even the double up. It'd be a straight swap for Robertson for Van Dijk, personally.
Which you only gain 0.1 at the moment on that.
Yes, it's suddenly crept right up, hasn't it?
Yeah, but personally as well, incidentally on Alisson, just seeing earlier today, he is ranked number 1 for save percentage in the top 5 leagues in Europe.
Right.
At the moment, so solid investment if you have Alisson. If you haven't now, it's a bit tricky to try and get him in because you have to reshuffle your whole pack because he's quite expensive. Myself, I'm also tripled up. I have Robertson, Salah, and I have Shaqiri. And Shaqiri's a bit of a risk. He's cheap. He's only 7.1, but as mentioned, he is a rotation risk. He hasn't started. He's missed 1 game in the past 5, but despite that, he's still on 25 points in the last 5 game weeks, which
he's been doing all right.
Respectable for that point level. So Shaqiri's another one who I might shuffle out at some point, depending on how much game time he gets and what our results are. Because Liverpool now, we've got the easy run until the end of the season now.
Are all your games done? Your big ones?
Yeah, pretty much. I think we've got 1 towards the end of the season, whereas City have Chelsea and Arsenal. And I'm sure they've got somebody else coming up a little further after that. So City have the tougher running. Liverpool have an easy running now, so especially if you're looking at defence, if you're looking at Salah, and we're also tipping up, if you're looking for something cheaper in defence, Trent, who usually I wouldn't recommend. He's a bit of a rotation risk. He has been rotated, and in some of the easier games, the fullbacks have been rested. But with our current defensive injuries,
yes, you have no centre-back partner for Van Dijk, do you?
That's right. So Matip is on his way back. Don't know how soon. Possibly be the next game week. Gomez is injured. Lovren is thankfully injured now as well. So what it means is Trent is pretty much nailed at least for the next few games. He shouldn't be rotated. Nobody should be taking his place unless we're absolutely desperate and we push Milner or Fabinho to right back, but I can't see that because if you watch the cup game against Wolves, we actually played Fabinho at centre back and he did reasonably well.
Yes.
Yeah, so Trent, cheap one to think about, 5.2. Other than that, Mane, 9.5, too inconsistent for me. The stats are there, but the points aren't, although he's not far off. He's not massively far off. But the one I'm keeping back on the radar is Firmino, 9.2. Despite his hat-trick the other week, there's still not a lot of faith in him. His price has not gone up. He's stayed at 9.2. I think he started at 9.5 at the beginning of the season, dropped to 9.2, but he could well be on his way back soon. So that's one to keep your eye on. Finally then, last point we want to talk about is potential players who've moved in the January transfer window. So I don't know if you've had a chance to think about these, any that caught your eye, but I'll run through the main ones. I think these are the only ones that have happened so far that are relevant to FPL. Bournemouth we've become Bournemouth's feeder club. From Southampton to Liverpool to Bournemouth. Nathaniel Klein.
Just like the South Coast, don't they?
Yes. Nathaniel Klein turned down Cardiff. God knows why we'd do that. But he's gone to Bournemouth and he started the week at 4.5 and has already dropped to 4.4. So obviously Bournemouth also don't know how to defend, but they do like to attack, so he could be in with some attacking returns.
Well, I was thinking the attacking returns would surely, I would have assumed he'd go up because he'd be playing more.
You'd think
I
so.
can't see how his price has dropped. That doesn't seem to make sense.
No idea. But it might be one for potential attacking returns in place of Digne, because I'm not impressed by Everton.
I've not gone near him to be honest.
Like we said in the last week's video, Richarlison, Digne I don't like. The other one at Bournemouth is Dominic Solanke, who I thought would have gone to Huddersfield. He was linked with Huddersfield. They need a striker. They can't finish the pot. But he has also gone to Bournemouth. Whether he's going to get the game time, this is the key, because Defoe has gone out to Rangers. And Solanke has come in, but ahead of him is Josh King and Callum Wilson.
Yeah.
Which is fueling the rumour of Wilson to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because...
Well, it's funny how these domino effects, isn't it?
Yeah, but...
It's like when you're selling a house, it seems, you know, and you're in a chain of 8 people and you're waiting for one person to get it sorted, and then it's like suddenly everybody's goes through. I think it might be one of them, potentially.
So, keep an eye on Solanke. He's only 4.7, so could be a cheap third striker option.
To be honest, I'm on Success at 4.5 and he's doing shit.
He's doing nothing, is he? So
Solanke is probably a worthwhile one for me.
That's right. Huddersfield, they have got in, I forgot to put his name in, they have got Jason Punchin in from Crystal Palace. 4.2, absolute bargain. And you would think that he's going to get a game every game at Huddersfield. So he could be, your fifth playing midfielder or third on your bench. Yeah, so very good there for 4.2. Will you be getting him in, do you think?
Myself, who I got March, Brighton is my
go-to.
My fifth midfielder. So unless it's just to free up a bit of money,
we'll see. We'll see on that one. Final one, Samir Nasri to West Ham.
Well, given that he's on about £1 million a second, he's on ridiculous wages, isn't he, or something? He's going to be playing.
Yeah.
I've never really got him, to be honest.
I've not liked him.
I've never rated him.
No.
As a player, this isn't FPL. I mean, as a player, I've never understood it.
But yeah, flatters to deceive, and maybe thinks he's better than he is.
Oh,
That's the
definitely.
impression I get of him. So it'll be interesting to see how he does alongside Felipe Anderson, because it could be the match made in heaven, but we'll have to wait and see what his work ethic is like, because West Ham, again, a bit of a habit of taking these old players. I mean, via City in this case, but they've got a load of Arsenal players, ex-Arsenal players.
Who obviously didn't want to move the kids away from the area because they were sitting in the GCSEs.
So, all right, then, we'll go West Ham. But Nasri is 5.5. Personally, I think that's bit expensive, touch expensive at the moment, unless he starts providing returns.
Yeah, I won't be going there.
Yeah, he's really going to have to, start on fire. But just something to think about. I mean, if you're thinking about a wild card, which, like we said last week, I don't know why you possibly would be at this point, or if you just need a bit of a reshuffle. We're done on the points there. Any final thing you want to add?
No, I think we've covered it.
I'm going to just quickly run through my plan, because it was based on, I've not had a chance to put up all the stats for the form players, but I was looking at some, and here's what I had in mind. So if you want to go something similar, Rui Patricio to Gaeta at Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are looking better defensively. Rui Patricio on Wolves, no, not so good. Some money to be saved there as well, I think 0.3 or 0.2. After that, Fabianski to either Rico or Angus Gunn, who's coming at Southampton. Rumour was he was only brought in for the 2 games specifically by Ralph Hasenhüttl, but he's very much a sweeper keeper on the front foot, so one to keep an eye on. So I'd be looking to get rid of both my keepers and bringing in 2 new ones. And Rico and Gunn are both cheaper. Alonso to Luiz, I've already done. Robertson to Van Dijk, I'm questioning now because there's not much money to be made. It's kind of a sideways move, so we'll just have to see if Robertson can match Van Dijk's output. Doherty, again, my Wolves players. Doherty is going to go out for either Pereira of Leicester or Patrick Van Aanholt, who's, I looked at his stats, he's doing very well.
Yeah.
But he's a lot more expensive. I think it's 5.4 or 5.5.
Right.
So I'm going to have to find some money to do that. Doherty, I think, is 5.2 currently.
Yes, somewhere around.
Last one of my bench players, Target of Southampton to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Again, Crystal Palace back on it. But again, I'd have to find 0.2, 0.3 to do that. And finally, Solomon Rondon. I got some good returns off him. Very pleased with him as my 3rd striker. But I'm looking to move him to either Ashley Barnes of Burnley, who look like they're on the up, or Jimenez. Yeah, I've not been a fan. Again, I'm moving all my Wolves defenders out, but Jimenez, he's scoring against all the big teams, so might be one to look at. So that's going to be my running order. I'll be looking at the form of those players. But yeah, this week, Captain Salah, Sane's come in, so I'm happy with my team. It's looking strong. What are the moves you've made?
If you'd seen me New Year's Eve, you'd have known, mate, the moves I was making. Nothing really. It was Hazard to Pogba was the move I made, and it went to shit in terms of what I've got.
Come back and...
In terms of what I've got coming up. I don't know really. Like I said, Pereira in for a Wolves defender, and using that money from the Hazard to Pogba to upgrade success.
Cool. Okay.
To somebody that does something.
Fantastic. That's all we've got time for today. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Hopefully it's been informative. Make sure you like, share and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at FulltimeBanter7. Have a good Game Week 22 and we will see you next week.
Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you. Goodbye.